With K2's Joe Douglas, who talked with a former chief of the FBI's Behavioral Science Unit. And Joe, he says many schools are not doing what it takes to help prevent school shootings.
Steve, a spokeswoman for Oregon's Department of Education here tells me most districts have a threat assessment team of some kind in place that takes action in response to concerning behavior. But she also admits school employees are not required to be trained to recognize behavior patterns that may possibly predict a school shooter.
This stuff just doesn't just happen. There's no snap effect here. There's a lot of myths out there.
Greg Vecchi is a retired FBI agent who once led the Bureau's Behavioral Science Unit. He's now an assistant professor of criminal justice at Missouri Western State University, where he studied how to better prevent school and workplace shootings.
You always hear that term, if you see something, say something. Well, that's nice, but that doesn't mean anything.
Greg says there's a specific pathway to violence that all school shooters go through, and it starts with a grievance.
The grievance is so bad that they can't cope with it or deal with it, and they don't feel that anyone will help them with it. So then they think, okay, I'm going to take matters in my own hands. They go to the second step, which is the ideation. So they're thinking, okay, this is so bad that someone needs to die. And then they start to research and plan. Well, they go on the internet. They go on Facebook. They go on YouTube. They look at previous cases. Preparation is trying to get a hold of the gun, ammunition, training, what they're going to do in the school.
Greg says the next step is when they actually launch the attack.
And so the problem with these cases is that all that has happened probably over a period of months and sometimes years.
To get ahead of the problem, Greg says people who know the student, teachers, coaches, parents, and others should be trained to pay attention to what he calls their baseline or normal behavior.
And then look at anomalies and things that are different from his baseline. Maybe he talks to his friends about, that he just wishes Mr. Jones was dead, or he starts bringing in gun magazines, things that are different than what he usually does.
He also says districts should have someone trained to analyze the behavior and decide whether it's a potential threat.
Then you have a good chance to identify a person of interest, right? A person that appears to be having a problem.
Greg says if you then sit down with the student and address their grievance, you have a good chance of preventing violence. Oregon's Department of Education says it does have a staff member here who helps districts with threat assessment, school safety, and addressing trauma. Live in Salem, Joe Douglas, K2 News.
All right, Joe.